How do you start a notary business when you have a 9 to 5 job? This is something that I think can help a lot of people, especially if you are working that 8 to 4, 9 to 5 right now, and you're like, man, I want to get away from this job. I want to have some side income, and I just want to be free and just have a little bit more financial freedom. So, because you are in a 9 to 5, it is going to be a little bit more difficult. I don't care what any other creator has to say. It's going to be a little bit more difficult because the time from 9 to 5, obviously, you'll be working. With that being said, your weekends are your best friend. And as soon as you get off work, that is your best friend as well. Those times you have to really, really, really utilize. And it's not impossible because I know people have done it and you can do it. So you have to just lock in. So one of the things I will say is if you watch my further videos after you've gotten your commission, after you've gotten your website up, and the easy little things to knock off as a notary, then the rest of that time needs to really go into marketing and finding times when you can actually do notarizations. You feel me? It has to be those other times, has to be that marketing and getting those notary jobs done. So what I say is on the weekends, those are the times where you need to be going hard. After Friday, you go ahead and relax, but that Saturday and that Sunday, you better be printing out them business cards, the flyers, those door hangers. Even if you want to do that USPS service, you need to go ahead and sign up for that. But you need to be going to these businesses, handing them out. You need to be going to these doors, putting on these door hangers. You need to be marketing yourself so much on the weekends so that way when the weekdays start, you're able to provide services for people. A lot of times when the week has started, for example, let's say that you took that weekend and you use that to market heavy. Of course, you're going to be getting calls during the week. If you cannot do those jobs while you're at work, obviously, you need to make sure that that's somewhere visible so that people can see. And if you're able to at least take the calls, you need to schedule those times very strategically. Don't do it right when you get off work. Give yourself a 2 hour gap and then schedule times for notary jobs while you're off work. You're going to have to do it like that because you're working that 9 to 5 right now and then just save that money up. Other than that, all those jobs need to be pushed towards the weekend. You need to talk to the customers, negotiate with them, and let them know that, okay, you can't do that this time, but I can do it at this time. And because that might not work for you or because that's a little bit inconvenient, I can give you a $5 discount. You have to sweeten the deal and make yourself still valuable to that customer. So after you get off work, that's your sweet spot. When the weekends come around, that's your sweet spot. So you know that when the weekends come, okay, cool. I'm worrying about knocking off all this guerrilla marketing. I'm going around, I'm passing out these flyers, I'm going to these businesses, I'm putting them in the door so that way when business owners come back on Monday morning, they see all of my notary information right there in the door because you're not able to go there in the daytime. So the weekends you have to utilize. Not only that, if you have one of those type of jobs where you're able to be on the computer and you have any downtime, that's when you need to start learning a little bit more about email marketing, email blasting, and scraping lists. For example, let's say that you want to get more notary jobs with attorney offices. You need to learn how to scrape those lists, which is basically compiling a list of all the offices or all a specific type of business in your area, creating a newsletter, emailing these people either through the email scripts that I have in my bio down below to solicit business from them or just to add them to the newsletter so they're familiar with your face. These are going to be the things that you have to do to be a little bit more creative, to have an edge, to have these customers still call you. You can't just expect the customers in a business to come in themselves. So when you're working the 9 to 5, you should know that anytime you have off time, all of that off time is going really into marketing or completing jobs. You don't really have time to sit around, rest, and chill. If I'm being honest with you, but you need to put in that work. You're going to have to put in that work because that's going to be the only thing that separates you from everybody else at your job that you're probably trying not to be like. You have to put in those extra hours. Right after you get off your job, you rest for those few hours, and then you get straight back to it. You scrape those lists, you print out those flyers, you study your marketing, you study all your documents. Like we used to say in one of my fraternities, any moment is an opportunity for progression. Every moment is an opportunity for progression. So you should be progressing every moment that you can. As soon as you get off, like I said, rest, get back to it. All right. And track the amount of clients that you have. Because when you get into this notary business, especially when you have your job, you're used to getting your constant paychecks. So when you're getting paid from notary business, when you first start off, sometimes it can be a little sporadic. You might have one on Monday, one on Thursday. Next week, you just have one on Wednesday. If you keep track of every time you do those jobs, you can start to see it compounding, because things don't happen as quick as you want it to. It usually takes twice as long as you want it to happen, and usually it's twice as hard as you think it's going to be. So if you keep that mental framework in your head, you'll go into this business with the correct expectations, rather than listening to people telling you, oh, you can make X amount in this period of time. It doesn't always work like that. Leave room for error and problems that could occur. So like I said, when you're working your job and you know that you're having these notary jobs, keep track of them every week. See what you have on a month-to-month basis. If you see you're hitting 5 every month, boom, now you know you're consistently getting 5 clients a month. And just work on making that number bigger and bigger each month to the point where it can sustain your current income. What I will say is having a 9-to-5 can be a huge superpower, because you have consistent income. With that consistent income, you can scale faster than other people that don't have that. Reason being, let's say that you're making money from your notary business. Let's say you had your first month and you were making $1,000. Because you have income coming in from your job and you were living off that income perfectly fine, you better not touch that $1,000 that came from that business. Put that $1,000 that came from your notary business right back into the business. Because when you're doing this, over time, it starts to compound. And just remember, it takes about 3 months for the ball to start rolling and money coming in. But it's very imperative that you're keeping track of all your notary expenses as if it's its own human being. Keep it separate from your personal expenses. You have your Excel sheet. You have how much you paid for this, how much you paid for this, how much money you made, what's the total, what's the profit total. And then whatever that profit is, you take that money, put it right back into the business, into the vehicle that paid you out the most. For example, I almost said por ejemplo. For example, let's say that you were doing your email marketing and you realize, okay, I did an email marketing. I shot out 500 emails and I got a client. You know that email marketing works. Now you have a data point. You know that, all right, for every 500 emails I send out, I get one client. So now you need to use that money that you had from profit from your business and use that to hire somebody that can send out 2,000 emails. Now you have 4 clients. And that's what I mean by reinvesting that money back into the business when you get it. A lot of entrepreneurs, especially those that are coming from the corporate America, they take that money and they're like, oh, this is more income. Now I got more income coming in. No, you don't touch the business money. You don't touch your business money. You put it back into the business ASAP. And you're going to regret taking that money out, because when it's time to pay for something for that notary business, let's say you want to buy a new course. Let's say you had the one-on-one mentorship. Now you're going to have to pull out the money that you made from your 9-to-5. And those are the money, that's the money, that you needed to pay your bills. So like I said, keep your money separate, but it is possible. You can do it after hours and on the weekends, and schedule your jobs as such. If you're having a hard time getting clients, you have to sweeten the deal for them. Let them know, like, okay, if you know that they're probably going to ask you to do a notarization during the times that you work, then you need to price yourself a little bit up, so that way when you're negotiating with them, you can put the price down. So let's say that you charge them $100, whatever it may be. You could say that, okay, if we do it at this time, I'm able to cut you a discount of $70. And they're like, okay, I get a $30 discount. But for you, it's just like, you just wanted them to wait a little bit longer until you got off work. There's going to be some finesse to this, a little bit of finesse to this, but this is how you have to make it work. This is how you stand out as a notary, by offering them deals and providing perceived value to them. Value in and of itself, because you're doing the actual job, but the perceived value of like, oh, I'm getting a discount. I just have to wait a couple of hours. But you know, as the notary, okay, cool. I'm still at work. I need to make sure that I still keep this client. So do things like that. You're going to have to think outside of the box, and you're going to have to utilize your weekends more than other people may have to. So do remember this. But anyways, if you want a one-on-one, if you need any coaching, if you need free notary tools that can help advance you a lot faster, it's 100% free in the bio below. Make sure to click on that, download that. You just need to put your name and your email. That can help you out speeding up your process, and it also gives you 10 of the most common notary mistakes that everybody makes. As far as the one-on-ones, if you're somebody that's struggling, if you haven't made your first 1,000 yet, you need to do something. It don't got to be me, but you better go to somebody and start learning something, because something is missing in your system. Like I always say, your business is a reflection of you. So if it's not working, it's not the business model that's not working because it's worked for other people. It's you that's not working. something is off. So find someone to help you fill in those gaps so you can hurry up and move on to the next problem. A lot of times when people are entering entrepreneurship, once they get one little hiccup or one little problem, they tend to drift away, blame it on the business, and focus on something else, another venture that's not going to work. So be patient, work on it, and make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Peace, love, knowledge. I'm out.